Looks cool, right? There is, however, one problem. 2D fighting games are some of the most difficult games to make. I would say that 2D fighting games are very challenging. It's not hard, it's impossible. 2D fighting games are very hard to make. I would go as far to say for a single developer working on a project of this scale, it would take a significant amount of time. Absolutely, fighting games, as others stated, are very, very hard to do. Making fighting games is brutal. There are a ton of things you need to keep a track of. This brutality increases exponentially when you have to make both the game and the devlog all in a week. Honestly, this day was spent on me learning concepts that I would be using later to make my game. I will not name them here, but rather later on when we actually get to their usage in the video. I can't draw, period. This is a significant problem because fighting games are notorious for their graphic and animation standards. So, what do we do? State machine, a mathematical model that defines the behavior of a system to exist in a finite number of states and transition between set states based on a set number of input. Let's take an example. Suppose you have a vending machine, a machine that is currently waiting for you to give it some coin. Once you give it some money, it dispenses your item. Upon a collection of said item, the machine goes back into waiting for you to give it some coins again. What we have here now is a finite state machine having two states. One, waiting for coin. Second, dispensing items with arrows to describe the transition between said state. Boring lecture aside, what are we even going to use this state machine for, you might ask? Why? Of course, to program a player. Initially, you are in your idle state. Pressing any of the directional keys will change you to walking state. Pressing jump key on any of these two states will take you to the jumping state, which subsequently moves you to the falling state when you start falling. Once falling, you can transition to any of the idle or walking state depending on whether you are moving while landing or not. Of course, there are like 5 other states waiting for us, but we will cross the bridge when we get there. Hitboxes. Prior to this game, I had a vague idea what hitboxes and hurtboxes were. Making a fighting game, although, essentially forced me to learn about them. Here is a basic rundown. Hitboxes are the area where your attacks deal the damage from. For example, in a punch, the hitbox would be the area surrounding your arm the moment it is fully extended. Hurtboxes, on the contrary, are the area where you will take the damage from. Taking the same example as above, as soon as the punch hits the body, you take the damage. But hurtbox in this case is your body. As a general rule, the hitboxes are made slightly larger than their hitting body, and inversely, hurtboxes are made slightly smaller than their damaged body. I can go on and on about them, but this basic definition should suffice for now. Now that we have a system of dealing and taking damage, we can finally go on to cross the bridge. While on the ground, if the player presses the punch or the kick button, they would go to their corresponding state respectively. From here, they can only go back to idle state. This gives a buffer frame between the player attacking and doing anything else to allow for counterplay from the opponent. Speaking of counterplay, one we can do is block. By pressing the block key while idle or walking, we can enter a blocking state preventing us from taking any damage. Pressing kick button while in the air enters us into the jump kick state, where we transition to falling state afterwards. If your attack or take damage in any of these states, we move to the hurt state where we are stunned from taking any actions and go back to the idle state once the stun is finished. Let's add some sounds. I had also thought of adding enemy AI to simulate PvE, but the time crunch got in my way, so shifted the game to be a PvP rather than a PvE, or in other words, a 2-player local multiplayer. Juice, more specifically, game juice. This is a term used to often describe how snappy or fun to look a game appears to be. It includes stuff like camera shake, particles, freeze frame, time slowdown, etc., etc., among other things. More specifically, it can make a game look from like this to this. With this, the game is now complete. If you like the game till now, do try out its web playable version from the link below. And if not, well, enjoy.
Mission completed!